The night Amara was born, the sky was restless. The moon, swollen and red like burning coal, hovered above the thatched roofs of Omuokoro village. The elders whispered of bad omens. A blood moon meant the ancestors were restless. Women gathered at the square, clutching charms of cowries and amulets, muttering prayers as they watched the heavens. In the small hut at the edge of the village, cries of labor echoed. Mama Ifeoma, a healer once accused of witchcraft, fought for her life as she brought her child into the world. Her sweat fell like rain upon the clay floor, and her chants mixed with the whispers of midwives. When the baby finally emerged, silence fell. The newborn opened her eyes, golden, glowing like sunlight trapped in glass. The midwives gasped and staggered back. One cried, "A witch's child." From that day Amara's life carried a mark. She grew up mocked and rejected. Children threw stones at her. Women crossed the road when she walked by. Men muttered that her gaze could pierce their souls. Yet, despite the hatred, Mama Ifeoma raised her with love. She taught her the ways of the forest, the healing leaves of the irako tree, the sacred waters of the river, the whispers of the wind. Amara learned to listen, to feel, to see what others could not. But her gift was heavy. One afternoon, while playing by the riverbank, she touched the hand of a little boy from the village. Suddenly, a vision flashed before her. The boy drowning in the very river they stood beside. Terrified, she warned him not to swim. But children laughed at her and mocked her as a liar. Days later, the boy was found lifeless, floating on the river. The villagers did not mourn him as much as they condemned Amara. She cursed him. "She is the daughter of darkness." From then on, they avoided her like plague. Amara grew tall and graceful, her golden eyes hiding sorrow. She longed to be seen as more than a curse, but the world had already judged her. And yet, in her heart, she carried a secret hope, that one day, someone would look beyond her strange gift and see her true soul. What she did not know was that someone already had. For in the shadows, Oba, the chief's only son, had watched her. And unlike the others, he saw not a witch's child but a girl touched by the gods. Seasons passed, and Amara blossomed into a young woman. Her golden eyes, once feared, now carried a quiet strength. She walked the village paths with dignity, though the whispers never ceased. Mothers tugged their children away when she drew near, and young men laughed cruelly behind her back. But to Oba, the chief's son, she was different. Oba was not like the other youths. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a spirit that sought truth beyond tradition, he often wandered away from the crowd. From his childhood, he had watched Amara in silence, watched how she carried water from the stream while others mocked her, how she bent over the sick with herbs, whispering prayers the wind seemed to answer. One evening, fate brought them face to face. Oba's little sister, Ngozi, fell gravely ill. The chief summoned healers, but none could cure her. As Ngozi's breathing grew weaker, Mama Ifeoma approached with her daughter. The villagers hissed and spat. "Keep your witch child away," they shouted. But desperation silenced them when the chief himself raised a trembling hand. "Let her try," he said. Amara knelt by Ngozi's mat. Her golden eyes softened as she touched the girl's forehead. A vision swept over her, shadows of poisoned yam leaves twisting in Ngozi's stomach. She quickly brewed a bitter potion of herbs and river bark. Whispering an incantation, she fed it to the girl. Hours passed. Then Ngozi's chest rose with a steady breath. The fever broke. The villagers gasped. The chief's wife wept. "She has saved my child." But the elders exchanged uneasy glances. Elder Okeke muttered, "Do not be deceived, this power is not of the living." As the people murmured, Oba's eyes never left Amara. He saw the calm in her face, the gentle way she wiped Ngozi's brow, the courage in her silence as others scorned her. That night, while the village slept, Oba found himself drawn to her hut. "Why do you endure their hatred?" he asked softly, standing by her doorway. Amara looked up, startled. No one ever came to her at night, not without anger or curses. "Because hatred is easier to bear than the truth," she said, her voice low. "What truth?" he asked. "That I am not cursed, only different." For the first time she saw no fear in someone's eyes, only curiosity, only respect. In that moment, something fragile yet powerful was born between them. A bond. A secret. Though neither dared to name it, love had already begun to take root. The days that followed were uneasy in Omuokoro. Though Amara had saved little Ngozi, the whispers grew louder. Some villagers said she was blessed, others insisted she had deceived them with dark powers. Elder Okeke, the oldest of the council, warned the chief, "Do not allow that girl near your family again. She walks with spirits." But Oba thought differently. He found himself drawn to her hut at night, speaking with her in secret. Their conversations flowed like hidden streams, carrying laughter, fear, and dreams. For the first time in her life, Amara felt seen, not as a curse but as a human being. One evening, as they sat beneath the irako tree at the edge of the forest, Amara grew restless. Her golden eyes shimmered strangely in the fading light. Oba noticed her silence. "What troubles you?" he asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "I see shadows, Oba. The earth cries. The rivers dry. Our people hunger. A great famine is coming." Her voice trembled. The vision had come to her in dreams, then in waking hours, the sight of cracked farmlands, empty granaries, and mothers weeping over children with hollow eyes. Oba's heart pounded. "Are you certain?" She nodded slowly. "It begins with the next harvest." Oba believed her instantly. He had seen the truth of her sight when she saved his sister. But he also knew the villagers would never listen. "If you tell them," he warned, "they will blame you for it. Elder Okeke already spreads poison against you." Amara's eyes filled with sorrow. "Then what must we do?" Oba took her hands gently in his. "We prepare. Quietly. You and I." The touch of his hand sent a shiver through her, a warmth she had never known. Yet even as hope flickered in her chest, fear gnawed at her. She had seen more in her vision than famine. She had seen herself bound at the sacred shrine, flames dancing around her as villagers chanted her name in accusation. But she said nothing. For now, she wanted to hold on to this moment, the comfort of Oba's presence, the promise in his eyes, and the fragile dream that perhaps love could survive in a world determined to destroy her. The rains failed. What should have been a season of abundance became a season of sorrow. The yam barn stood half empty. The river that once sang with fish now lay silent, its waters shrinking into mud. The sun scorched the land and cracks split the earth like open wounds. Children's bellies swelled with hunger. Women wailed as their farms yielded nothing but dust. Men grew restless, their faces carved with desperation. And in the midst of the suffering, whispers rose again. "It is the witch's daughter," the villagers murmured. "Did she not speak of this before it came? Only she could have cursed us so." Elder Okeke fanned the flames of their fear. Standing in the village square, he lifted his staff and thundered, "The gods are angry. The famine is a punishment. And who walks among us with eyes of gold, who sees what no mortal should see? Amara." The crowd echoed his cry. "Amara! Amara!" Mama Ifioma clutched her daughter close, trembling. "Do not leave this hut, my child," she whispered. "Their fear will consume them." But fate had other plans. That evening, a group of angry men stormed their hut. They dragged Amara out into the village square, her arms bound with ropes. Her golden eyes shone with tears, not fear. Oba pushed through the crowd, shouting, "Stop this madness. She is not our enemy, she is our only hope." But his father, the chief, stood firm. "Oba, you speak like a foolish boy blinded by a woman's face. This girl is a danger to us all." The villagers roared their approval. Elder Okeke's voice boomed over them. "To cleanse our land, the witch's daughter must be offered to the spirits. Only then shall rain return." The people chanted in frenzy, their voices rising like thunder. Amara looked around at faces twisted with fear and hatred, people she had once tried to help, people she had healed. And in that moment, her vision returned, the shrine, the flames, the chanting. It was all unfolding before her very eyes. Oba broke free from the guards restraining him and ran to her side, his voice fierce and desperate. "If she dies, you will destroy the only one who can save us." But no one listened. By dawn, Amara was taken toward the sacred shrine in the forest, where the ancestors were said to hear the cries of the living. Bound and weary, she walked with dignity, her eyes fixed on the horizon. For though the people condemned her, she knew the truth. The famine was not her doing. It was the greed of men like Elder Okeke who had angered the gods. And soon, the truth would burn its way into the light. The path to the sacred shrine wound through the thick forest. The villagers marched in a grim procession, their torches flickering like restless spirits. At the center, bound with ropes, walked Amara. Her golden eyes glimmered in the torchlight, calm yet sorrowful. At the head of the procession, Elder Okeke struck the ground with his staff. "Tonight," he declared, "the spirits shall drink her blood and the curse upon our land shall end." Oba struggled against the warriors who held him back, his voice raw with fury. "Father, elders, listen to reason. She is not our enemy, she is chosen by the gods." But his words were drowned by the chants of the crowd, "Cleanse the land! Cleanse the land!" When they reached the shrine, an ancient stone circle hidden beneath towering trees, Amara was tied to the central pillar. Offerings of kola nuts, palm wine, and goat blood surrounded her feet. The air was heavy, thick with smoke and fear. As the ritual began, Elder Okeke raised his staff toward the sky. "O ancestors, accept this sacrifice and bring us rain." The crowd roared in unison. Flames were lit around Amara, their heat rising like the breath of the underworld. The smoke coiled into the night sky, and thunder rumbled faintly in the distance. But then, something shifted. The flames bent strangely as though caught by an unseen wind. The air grew cold and a haunting silence fell over the forest. One by one the villagers' voices died away. Amara lifted her face. Her golden eyes glowed brighter than ever. And then the voices of the ancestors filled the shrine, thundering yet gentle like many waters. "You blind ones, you accuse the innocent while the guilty walks free." A fierce wind swept through the shrine, extinguishing the torches. Elder Okeke's staff cracked in his hands. Panic seized him, but before he could flee, a bolt of lightning split the sky and struck at his feet. He fell shrieking as the villagers gasped. The ancestors' voices thundered again. "It is not the child of light who cursed the land. It is the greed of men who defile the sacred laws. She was born to heal, to guide, to protect." Rain began to fall, heavy and cleansing. The villagers collapsed to their knees, weeping. They watched in awe as the flames around Amara died out, leaving her untouched, her ropes falling away as if cut by unseen hands. Oba rushed forward, wrapping his arms around her. Tears mingled with the rain on his face. "They cannot harm you anymore," he whispered. "Not while I breathe." The villagers, humbled and trembling, bowed their heads before Amara. For the first time in her life, they saw not a witch's daughter, but the chosen of the gods. And as the rain washed away the dust of famine, it also washed away the chains of hatred. The storm raged long into the night, soaking the earth that had once cracked with drought. Villagers who had cursed Amara now knelt in the mud, trembling at the voices they had heard. For the truth could no longer be denied. She was not cursed, she was chosen. Elder Okeke lay in the dirt, his staff broken, his eyes wild with terror. His voice cracked as he screamed, "Lies? She deceives us all." But the ancestors' wrath had already marked him. With another strike of thunder, the earth split beneath him, swallowing his cries into silence. A heavy hush fell over the shrine. All eyes turned to Amara. Her ropes had fallen away, her golden eyes glowed like twin suns in the stormlight. She stood tall and unbroken, rain streaming down her face. For the first time the people did not shrink away. Instead they bowed. "Forgive us, Amara," an elder whispered. "We were blind." One by one voices joined in, rising above the sound of rain. "Forgive us. Forgive us." Amara's heart, though scarred by years of pain, softened. She lifted her hands, her voice carrying with the wind. "I hold no hatred. But let this day teach us, fear is the true curse of men. Love is the gift the gods desire." The rain fell harder, drenching the land, seeping into the soil. Farmers would later say that night was the rebirth of Omuokoro, the night life returned. Oba stepped forward, his eyes never leaving hers. In front of the entire village, he clasped her hands and spoke with a voice steady and proud. "I will no longer hide what is in my heart. Amara, daughter of Iphioma, chosen of the ancestors, you are the woman I love." Gasps rippled through the crowd, but no one dared speak against him now. Even the chief, silent and humbled, lowered his gaze. He had seen the will of the gods and he could not deny it. Amara, overwhelmed, felt tears blend with the rain. For years she had been called cursed, unworthy, unloved. But in that moment, standing before her people, she knew her destiny had come full circle. From that day forward, Amara was no longer the witch's daughter. She became the seer of Omuokoro, the healer of the land, and the heart of its people. And by her side always stood Oba, the man who had believed when no one else would. Love had survived the fire.